weekend. It has won every event he has gone into. He's done everything that his team boss, John Sidney, has asked of him. And he only has one final mission to win this classic. George Tatnall has never won a classic. And he will probably be taking part in his last classic. Spoke to him the other day. He said, I think this is it. Be great if he could win his classic too. Well, do you want to try the wave? Do you want to do it at the Ute? And we'll do it as they come down. I think we've left it a bit late. No, we've left it a bit late, I think. We've missed out. So they'll come through. 35 laps in front of one of the greatest fields ever assembled here at Premier Speedway. Max Dumsney coming down now. It'll be a real go when they get to the start line. Max Dumsney, George Tatnall. Who will win the drag race down the straight? It is Max Dumsney. Let's see if we can get them all through the first turn. Max Dumsney's gone through, Tatnall's gone through. Brooke Tatnall's dropped off the pace. And we'll pick them up as they come through this time. And it's Max Dumsney in the number 5 car. He's gone through from George Tatnall in the New South Wales 5 car. Then Gary Rush, the Australian title holder. We go back to Phil Johnson in the 99 car. Next one through would be Brooke Tatnall. He's back in about the 6th spot. That's number 8. Then we go back to Wayne Bunker in the 27 car. Looking back a little bit further, it'd be Warren Nelson in the number 2 car. 95 is Ian Lewis. And they're starting to get packed up already. Billy Barrows right back at the end of the field. Doesn't look very happy at the moment. We'll go back to Max Dumsney. 32 laps remaining on the board. Track looks magic at the moment, and gee, it'd be a great thrill here at Premier Speedway if we could get these 35 laps run. Would certainly be a record time. Max Dumsney, he's opened up quite a lead here at the moment, and he's pulled out about 30 metres on George Tatnall from New South Wales. The Australian title holder Gary Rush about similar distance back in about 3rd place. Then we go to the ex-local Phil Johnson doing a great job in the 99 car back in 4th place. Then Brooke Tatnall back in 5th place. The youngster from Melbourne, Warren Nelson, back in 6th, and Wayne Bunker in 7th. Well, Max Dumsney's really putting the speed on here at the moment. The blue and white Valvoline OTR looking very good, and Max Dumsney feeling very confident about the whole deal. This time as they come through, they're lapping in a little bit over the 12 seconds. 12 and a half seconds maybe, and Max Dumsney almost has caught up a lap at the moment. He's starting to wind in Tommy Tomlinson. He will be the first one. Tommy Tomlinson coming from Adelaide. We keep our eye on him as he comes down, and he's down almost onto Tommy Tomlinson. We've got ourselves a rollover, and Billy Barrows has wound up in it with 27 laps to go. We've got 3 cars in a tangle, and that's brought down a magic race. Billy Barrows is there. I think one of the Winfield cars is also in there. We'll just have to make a check on that and see who it is. They're a bit hard to pick up, the Winfield cars from the west. Could be either Ron Cricky or... yes, I think it'll be Ron Cricky. And Billy Barrows, the number 6 car from Mount Gambier, is mixed up in that too.
Running 28 there. Max Dumsney assumes his rightful position at the head of the field, and it's a 28-lap drag race now to the final. Max Dumsney leads him in. George Tatnall right in behind him, trying to jump on in. Gary Rush back there in 3rd place. Phil Johnson in 4th. Now Brooke Tatnall almost got himself out of bounds as they went through turn 2, 3, and Wayne Bunker starting to blow a bit of smoke back in the field. Max Dumsney settled down now. He's pulled out that 10 or 12 metres on George Tatnall for 2nd place, and Gary Rush still back there in 3rd, Phil Johnson in 4, and the youngster from Frankston, Warren Nelson, up into 5th spot. This will be the drive of his life. If he could just pick up a couple of spots, he'd be absolutely thrilled with this drive. I think it's about his 2nd classic he's taken part in. Brooke Tatnall from New South Wales has dropped off the pace a little bit. He's back in about 5th place. But all the action up front at the moment, the big guns. And I always say that the cream rises to the top. And this is exactly what's happened here tonight in the sprint car race. We've got the three big guns up front, and they're looking pretty good. In fact, George Tatnell got himself a little sideways that time as he came through turn 3-4. So the lap's starting to run down, and this time as Max Dumsey comes down, it'll be 22 to go. Max Dumsey, a revolutionary car. They've brought down to Warrnambool this weekend to win this classic. They've been working on this motor car for some months and experimenting with it in the garage. It had never set tyre, never turned a wheel on a speedway until last night, and Max Dumsey had never even sat in the car. But last night they used it as a bedding in section, and if he's got the right tyre and the right equipment, if the car's set up right, well, he's got his name written all over this particular race at the moment. So the lap's starting to run down. 21 to go. Max Dumsey's gone down now. He's starting to overlap cars. And George Tatnell's just slipped off the pace a little bit. So has Gary Rush. And then we go back to Phil Johnson. The track's getting quite black at the moment. And Darryl Nash almost caressed the wall down on turn 1-2. So we go back with the leaders. And it's still Max Dumsey. Still doing it nicely, in fact. He settled right down. He looks very, very smooth as he comes through with 19 to go. 19 laps in the 18th Grand Annual Sprint Car Classic of 1990. And Max Dumsey opened up maybe about 50 metres at the moment on George Tatnell, and Gary Rush trying to close in on Tatnell. I noticed Gary Rush trying to get off the black section of the track. It's just starting to slick up a little bit, and he's starting to run his right rear wheel out into what we call a cushion. And George Tatnell's getting very, very untidy at the moment, and Gary Rush is starting to wind him down. And if you notice that Gary Rush is trying to do the big run round the outside, and he's gone right round the outside of Tatnell into second place. That's where the fast line is. Now, if Max Dumsey tweaks this, he started to move to the outside too. Now, if he doesn't, Rush will gobble all over the top of him, and Tatnell's gone underneath Rush, and it's a drag race down the straight. So we've still got George Tatnell in there and Gary Rush on the high line. The track's getting really black at the moment, and it's the high line's the way to go. And Gary Rush says, I'm going to stay out there, but he's almost lost it. So Gary Rush has dropped off the pace now, and it's George Tatnell has retained his second place. We'll go back with the leaders, and it's 14 laps to go. Now, this will be a test of tyres, I would say. It depends on who's running the right compound tyre for this last 14 or 15 laps. There's still nothing in this event. George Tatnell starting to sneak up onto Max Dumsey. So we'll check them out now as Rush tries to go in under Tatnell. It's a heck of a race here at the moment. It's still Dumsey out front by about 15, 20 metres. He keeps letting George Tatnell close up onto him. Max would want to keep going at the moment. He wouldn't let Tatnell up, and Tatnell's moved away from Gary Rush in third place. We drop back quite a bit now to about 50 or 60 metres to Phil Johnson back into fourth place, and then to be Brooke Tatnell in about fifth place. So we'll go back with the leader. We're looking for Max Dumsey, and he's gone down past the grandstand once again. As he comes through this time, it is just 10 laps to go. It's the two number 5s fighting for supremacy. And Gary Rush now has got right in between them. He's gone underneath George Tatnell, and it's a race of 3. There is about 5 metres separating these 3 cars, and Gary Rush is the threat at the moment. Can he pull it out here? He's going to try the high line of Max Dumsey. So we've got Max Dumsey, Gary Rush. Then we go back to George Tatnell. I don't think anybody's watching anybody else at the moment. We'll go back and pick up Phil Johnson. He's back in fourth place, but all the action is right up front. 1, 2, 3. It is Dumsey, Rush and Tatnell. Then back to Johnson. Then back to Brooke Tatnell. It's a magic race. There is nothing in this at the moment. There is just 7 laps to go, and Rush threw it right underneath Dumsey. Dumsey came off the high line. He got that little advantage again. Rush is going to persevere out there. He's run the wheel out off the black. He is right on the back push bar of Max Dumsey. Well, this is one of the most exciting races we've ever had here at Premier Speedway, and certainly one of the better classics. George Tatnell's dropped off the pace, and it's left to these 2 guys out the front. We've got the 30-year-old Max Dumsey trying to win his first classic. Gary Rush trying to win about his 7th or 8th. It's great racing here, and the laps are starting to run down. Rush is making a move on the outside. Still can't get there. 4 laps left to go. One of the most magic drives I have ever seen from both these drivers. Remember, they're lapping here at 12 seconds or a little bit better, and they're lapping in and outside the cars. They're just overlapping cars left, right and centre. Stumsy's got a car between him and Rush goes in under him again. I reckon it's Stumsy's race from here. As he comes down this time, it's 2 to go. Stumsy has got 2 to go. He has just got to hang on. Rush comes back. Gary Rush never ever stops fighting back. A great final. Max has got a car between him and Gary Rush at the moment, and Gary Rush has gone into that. White flag coming out. Max Stumsy, can he win his first Grand Annual Sprint Car Classic? This will be a roar from the crowd like a Melbourne Cup roar. Stumsy down the back straight for the last time. Rush in a do-or-die effort round the outside. It's a neck-and-neck. Gary Rush has stolen the Classic on the last turn. I have never ever seen anything like that again. The most exciting Classic ever at Premier Speedway. Oh, one of the magic races, and Max has got done on the line. Absolutely on the line. Well, what a race. What do you think about that? Max Stumsy got beaten on the line by the Australian title holder, Gary Rush. Well, that has been fantastic, Steve. I'll have to go down on the track. We'll have to talk to Max. We'll talk to Gary Rush, but that'll be one of the races that go down in history as being one of the best races at Premier Speedway.
Yeah, fabulous call, Charlie. Well done. Charlie's going down on the track, so it certainly was. I mean, as Charlie was saying, Max Stumsy there had it won in that final turn. It was coming around, and Gary Rush pulled out all stops, and he just took over. He took right out from the outside there, came through, and just stole that race on the line. I mean, he was running second right throughout the race. It was an amazing finish, and it'll be a finish and a race that people will be talking about for a long time here at Premier Speedway. The 1990 Grand Annual Sprint Car Classic with Gary Rush stealing it in the last seconds of the incredible clash here. Clash of the Titans with Max Stumsy leading all the way, and on that final stage being pipped on the post by Gary Rush, and an amazing field. I think George Tatnell got up for third there. We'll have those placings through very shortly to confirm those. But
Thanks, man. Thanks a lot.
Gary.
I do feel sorry for you.
Congratulations.
He wasn't in it because he's been beating my arse off the last few years, and it's just a bloody shame he couldn't have been in there.
Well, Danny said that to me out in the pits before the race. He said he'd love to be in here with you.
I know.
Yeah. Anyhow, congratulations.
Thanks, mate. Thanks a lot.
It was going to be his race, and Gary came out from under, and there he is. Okay, we'll present third place first. And, well, I feel a bit sorry for this guy. Last Grand Annual Sprint Car Classic to try and win the Classic. Did everything right until he got to the final. Didn't quite crack it. He said to me this weekend when he came down, well, this is it. Let's see if we can win ourselves a Classic. He's ended up third, but I guess he won't be all that disappointed because he's had one of the most colourful careers of anybody that ever progressed in the Speedway. I'm talking about the third place in the Grand Annual Sprint Car Classic tonight. From New South Wales, number 5, George Tatnell. George, if we can have you up to the diet, George. Tony, one of the boys could just pick up and wind back, or wind up the swell on the microphone.
Well, let's put this on you first, George. How do you like that? And also, looking at the book, this is your name. It goes into the Classic now as a place getter, first, second, or third place getter. It wasn't there before, so at least that's a tremendous achievement, isn't it?
Yes, Gus, it's like the guys we come down in this last quite hard and things just don't go right. But, these races have been made possible out there in Swan and Gorn Road. They put a lot of time and money into Premier Speedway, and we're pretty by a lot of the things that happen down here. But that's the way racing goes. But congratulations to Max. drove a brilliant race all night. We tried really hard to catch him, and he's been trying for this as hard long as what we had, so I'm glad it came up for him. So Gary was great for third all night, and that's what the fans come out here to watch, good racing, and that's what we got tonight.
Now the wine compliments of Ross Harper and the big set. George, you said yesterday, well, was there anything you were something to come?
Every time we've done it, we've been competitive, and I thought tonight was a night, but we just set up better than what we did, and it's the way it goes. It's Speedway's way out. There's a lot of work goes in behind the crew. Alan First and all the boys, they've got to make a decision before we get out on the racetrack, same as John Sidney has and John Barrett, and whoever makes the best guess, generally is the best pick out of the lot. There's nothing between the three cars. I don't think there's not much between the three drivers, and it's just the way it goes.
Hey, that's a pretty humble George Tatnall. Hey, what about putting your hands together? This guy's really raced himself to big steps. Great first one. He's leading the Australian Sprint Car Series, and I guess he would have to play with still.
Like to thank Winfield, Australian Airlines, also Shell Oil. But anyway, it's, especially Alan Price and the boys, they worked extremely hard all weekend on both the cars, and we just hope everybody enjoyed the race. Thanks very much.
Third place in the Grand National Sprint Car Classic, George Tatnall. Hey, and what about this other guy? He's led for 34 and 3/4 laps, and he's got done on the line. Yeah, George just looked at me and he said, "Did Max get done?" He didn't know. How about that? Max got done all right, but I'll tell you what, Max Dumsey will eventually win a Grand National Sprint Car Classic and an Australian run, and it might happen in 1 year. What about putting hands together for second place tonight after a valiant effort? Max Dumsey. Max is still a bit disoriented. Headed off in the wrong direction. And George is still talking bewildered here. He thought Max has won. Okay, well, it's George still thinks he won it.
Congratulations. We had third and place the year before and a second place last year and another second this year. And you gave it a real good hit, pal, and looked right here. You were there until that last second. But congratulations, a tremendous drive. And as Charlie said, there's some big ones coming up for you, mate. There's that part of it anyway. Good.
Thanks, Gus, Charlie. I'd just like to congratulate George and Gary for doing me in on the last lap. I remember that. I'll get even one day, I swear it. But he was the smarter. I guess if I had been behind him, I'd have been able to see where the top or the bottom was fastest. I guess he was behind, he could see. Good on him. And what can I say? I'd like to thank Bowen Sawmills and Gavin Rowe. Also, I'd like to thank John and Riley and Paul. They've all done an excellent job this week putting a new car together. It works quite well, and hopefully we can come back here and win this thing one of these years.
Okay, what about it now? Put your hands together for Max Dumsey, second tonight. And there goes the wine with the compliments of Ross Harper and his family, and the big sash. Okay, we'll wait for this all again. It's a pretty epic night. This guy ended up upside down in one of the features, and I think that's an omen because I've seen Gary Rush end up upside down in quite a few heat races, and when the big money comes out, the big occasion driver pops out of the woodwork. And I think I made the comment right very early in the race that the cream always comes to the top. Hey, we've called him a lot of things here. We've called him God, we've called him Mr. Speedway, we've called him everything. What about calling a new winner of the 1990 Grand National Sprint Car Classic, Mr. Gary Rush?
Well, Gary, that's a big one. 1986 was the last time you wore this sash, and you were second in 87, second in 88. Last year was not a very good classic for you, but this year you came back and did the big one. a hell of a drive, mate. It was one of those spine-tingling drives. It had the heart in my throat as you came around there. Congratulations, mate. Really a tremendous drive and a gutsy drive, and all the very best to you. And here's your sash. And that.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks very much. Well, there's a lot of people in town, my crew, and all the people who support me, but there's no cleaner crowd than all Australia in Victoria. Thank you, Victoria. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Well, it's a tough way to lose a race. I really feel bad for Max. But, you know, he's done everything right this weekend, and she's 200 yards from the finish. He had it all in the bag, and just it's a tough way to lose a race. But he's young, he's only 30, and I'm 45, and I didn't start winning my races until I was just over 30, so he's got a long way to go, you know. And, no, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. But the person I really feel sorry for, he's been beating me backside off here for the last few years, and that's Danny. You know, he had an accident last night. Unfortunately, couldn't drive the night, but I wished he would have been in it because the record books will say that he wasn't in the race. I just wished he would have been, and I know how bad he feels, but I'm just very happy to win this race. I've won it 7 times now, and it's probably the biggest one to win. The Australian title's nice to win, but this classic, it's another race, you know. And I'd just like to thank the promotion. They do it first class. There's no track in Australia that do it like Warrnambool. And all the hard working Ian Shepherd and all his crew. I know Ian works very hard, but I'm sure there's a lot of people do a lot of hard work behind the scenes, and I'd like to thank them and the track curators. And once again, my fans. Thanks again. Thank you.
Got the sandwich.
I'll thank the sponsors. I'd like to thank Farnham Sawmill and Gavin Rowe for sponsoring this race. Without sponsors for races like this, we just wouldn't have a crowd, we just wouldn't have a race like this, and I really like to thank them again. Thank you.
Gary, just before you go, 10 laps from home, did you give yourself a show?
Well, I had a look at the board, and there was 8 laps to go. I was starting to work pretty good on the first 10 laps I thought we were in trouble, but then the tyre that we selected come good in the last 10 laps, and that's what won it for me.
During my call, I picked it out, and it's very hard to see it from down here, but you could pick it out from up top, that the black line appeared, and you were the first car to go for the outside of the cushion, and I reckon that's where it won for you.
Yeah, definitely, that's what won it for me.
And we were saying Max stayed down on the bottom line. I don't think he realised that the bottom of the track was not the way to go.
Well, if you didn't get into this fourth turn just right, if you got in just right on the bottom, you could come off pretty fast. But Max didn't get in just quite right, and I put it in pretty hard the last lap, and well, as I said, that's what won for me.
Okay, what a double to win in 2 weeks. The Australian Sprint Car Championship and the Grand Indian Sprint Car Classic. Hey, this is the last time we can cheer this guy tonight. What about putting your hands together now for the winner, Gary Rowe? Fourth place has been confirmed as Phil Johnson. Phil Johnson, 4th place confirmed.
Hang on, Ben. Are you safe?
No, Pam, I wouldn't like a menthol cigarette if someone told me. The winner. Oh, right, son. Okay, mate. Stay in touch, right? Thanks for coming over.
There. Are you going there?
Yeah, that's right.
It was called How to Get.
Well, they were here, and they took off again. They were looking for you. So, oh, sorry.
You guys all have to sit in the race car, you can just pop there. Bye.